I don't like it.
Would you rather your spouse have cold feet and runs away, or say no at the I do?
What's up? It's your girl Nettie B.
And I'm Reema L, and this is the Sugar and Spouse podcast, where we'll be discussing all the tips and tricks, aka the sugar, to make wedding planning a bit sweeter.
And let us not forget about the spouse, which are the tips and tricks to help you keep the spark alive before and after the I do's, as well as we will be highlighting professional vendors and all of the other things you need to know in order to make your wedding planning journey way sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
So, without further ado, let's get into it.
When I feel what I feel, sometimes it's hard to tell. So,
what's up?
Hey, girl. This is our season finale.
I know. Can you believe we've done 10 whole episodes already?
Oh my gosh, it's so bittersweet. But don't worry, we'll be back.
We'll be back in your feeds.
Some more content, diving deep into what we talked about and really, unlocking the code on a lot of this wedding stuff.
Exactly. And you know what? It's been a journey. Like, just from episode 1 to now.
Yeah.
And
getting it together was kind of rough.
So many takes.
Man, oh my gosh. I hope we look like we have it together because, man, it was a bit of a struggle bus in the beginning.
I mean, even still, it's like, it's always some bloopers that happen. So we would like you to see what we did. It's like, just get in on a little bit of our bloopers. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah. Cue the bloopers. Bloop. Cue the bloopers.
Oh, guess what? The people have asked, and so we shall receive. They shall receive.
Right. Yes, they shall receive.
And let us not forget about the spouse, which we give you all those tips and tricks you need for before. And I messed up so bad. So sorry.
What's about that time when the bride kicked you out of the wedding at the wedding?
I was so pissed. Just because I wanted to wear my black dress didn't mean that I had to leave. Feel what I feel.
Are you frozen? Oh, I didn't know I was going to ask all those questions. This is the Sugar and Spouse podcast where we're giving you all the sorry.
Girl Nettie B.
Hey, and it's Reema L, and this is the Sugar and Spouse podcast where we'll be talking about all the tips and tricks. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. Go. A bit more sweeter.
And let's not forget the spouse, which are ways to keep the spark alive before and after.
I don't even know why I add a bit more. It doesn't even make sense.
So we hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yes. Just so you know, a lot of preparation went into this. Okay.
Yes. And we had some fun.
Definitely did. It was a good time. But, we've gone through 10 episodes of speaking about our experience, and we had a great time, but we hope you guys really had some takeaways from it. And, we're going to dive into what our most viewed episodes were.
Oh, yes. Let's recap.
Yeah.
Let's recap. So let's recap our top viewed episodes. So according to our analytics, the number 1 viewed episode was actually our first episode.
Yay! Popping the question.
Yes, which was popping the question. I guess a lot of people are really interested in knowing, okay, well, how do I do this or stuff like that, which is really cool.
Yeah. Probably like what you guys went through, definitely learn from our experience. So that way you don't have to go through the stress of it. So that's a good range for our first episode, I think.
I know. And then to recap, I really remember us being like a little bit nervous and just the whole thought process behind even choosing that as our first topic. It was just basically so that we can be as inclusive to everyone. You know, we have to think about the folks who have to ask the question too. So it
Mhm.
was really fun, actually, like filming it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And we definitely wanted to give you guys not only our inputs as the brides in the situation, but also from our husbands and giving their input too, because hey,
Hmm.
they've gone through some stuff as well.
Yeah, they popped it. Okay,
Hmm.
and then all right, so can
What's
you guess?
next?
Can you guess? I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah,
Our
let's get into
next
it.
our next highest view was who to put in, who not to put in your bridal party. So
Mm,
our bridal party episode, you guys really like that one too.
nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. Because, a lot of people probably are going through it. Like, who in the world do I put in my wedding? Because of course you wanna have everyone under the sun, but
Yes.
you can't, you gotta narrow it down, gotta figure it out.
And as much as we spoke in that episode, there's still so many more aspects about the bridal party that we can totally dig into, which we're
Definitely.
so excited to keep talking on.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely, yeah, season 1 just literally scratched the surface of all these
yep,
topics.
yep.
We're
And
gonna jump
then
in.
finally, our other like third place is wedding planner or not. So I guess a lot of people
Mhm.
trying to figure that piece out too. Those are our top views. And
Yeah, yeah. We're in the age of DIY, so I
yeah,
think that's really beneficial. People probably need
yeah.
some help.
Yeah, I hope that we were able to flesh out and help give you the information to make the decision that is best for you, right? Because
Mhm.
choosing a wedding planner is something that is very, personal, and it's
And not
not
for
mentioned.
everyone.
Mhm. And you just want to be equipped because,
Mhm,
most of the time it's
absolutely.
everyone's first time dealing with wedding stuff.
That's
And
right.
and I would like to give an honorable mention.
Mhm.
Another one of our most viewed episodes was our Muna Lucci event recap.
Yeah, actually, it went crazy on YouTube on the YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, a lot of people really liked it. And that was like a blast to go to. I really loved eating all the food that the vendors had. That
So
was fun.
yummy. It's so good, so
It was
good, so
so
good.
good.
Yes.
And
Yeah, it was definitely everything.
mhm,
It definitely
mhm,
made me
mhm.
wanna get married again. So
I know, I know. I was like, dang, we want to like be incognito. Like, yeah, we're gonna be prize again.
yeah, let me scope the scene, let me check it out. Nah, beautiful. Everything is so lovely. So, yeah, definitely, if you haven't seen those, you might wanna fill yourself in and check them out.
Yeah, and then going next season, we're definitely gonna hit another, like at least a couple more bridal expos because there's a lot
Mhm.
to uncover there, and we can help you guys out. So that
Definitely
was fun.
can. Yeah, especially if you want us to check them out. Like, hey, you love that short, you love the content we covered in there. Let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we met some pretty cool vendors.
Mhm,
So it's awesome. I think we'll definitely looking forward to next season to doing something
mhm,
similar to that again.
mhm.
Um, so
Absolutely.
our
Yeah.
favorite episodes. Now that
Yeah,
we're
let's
talking
let's
about,
let's recap on those.
yeah. So okay, my favorite
Mhm.
episode is the wedding planner or not. That
Oh,
one
that's
was
fitting.
just yes, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Miss Budget, and also wedding planning stuff is like wedding planning specifically is kind of near and dear to my heart. There was a time in my life where I really was considering doing something of that nature, maybe
Mm,
even being wedding planning as like a career. And I still to this day like really enjoy planning events. So it was really fun like researching for that episode as well as just
mm,
like talking through my own experience as a
mhm.
bride, um, who was
Yeah,
pretty knowledgeable in the field, I think. And
yeah,
still, everything wasn't perfect, but it was really fun.
right, and that's the ultimate takeaway, I would say. I know we haven't given it as any sugar in any of our episodes, but weddings, although we try to plan and go through everything to make it perfect, there is no
Mhm.
such thing as a perfect wedding. Something may go wrong. Something may go not according to plan, and that's okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's totally okay.
That
Mhm.
reminds me, like, so random, but I had my wedding back in December, right?
Mhm.
But I really needed some space away from the wedding. And like I'm starting to feel now that it's like 6 months or so later, like just looking back at the pictures, like before when I first got my pictures back and all I could think about was all the things that just were not perfect. And
Mhm.
then now that I had it's past, I love everything. It actually came out really good. And like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's the
so
whole
I was really
picture.
fun.
Everything
So
came full circle. It's all
everything
good.
people actually have fun. Like I was just like not believing anybody. Like, yeah, sure you did. You're just telling me
Mm.
you have fun. But yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
that was
definitely.
like totally left field. But you guys hear 10 episodes in, yeah, you guys can hear what I got to
Mhm.
say.
Right, right. Well, one of my favorite episodes was episode 5, Honey, We Need
Mm-hmm.
to Talk. I think
Oh.
communication during the planning phase, the wedding
Mm-hmm.
phase, after the wedding, it's essential. Like you're going to communicate for the rest of your lives together. So,
Mm-hmm.
learning those tips and tricks to make it a bit easier, it's just like you need it. It's essential. I
Yes, it
love that
really is.
episode. And it definitely we found some things out that kind of helped us out in our own relationships. And it's like, hey, I'm gonna try this out.
Yeah, yeah. The research part, like, really be helping us out.
Mhm.
That is so true. Like, especially with like using the I statements and trying to like
Mhm.
really understand how to communicate and when to communicate. Don't be shook to
Yes,
do it.
yes. Yeah, and if all else fails, don't feel like it's taboo or feel nervous to actually speak to an outside person. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of couples, families, they go to counselors to kind of just let out what they're feeling and have that
Mm-hmm.
not mutual, third party just give their unbiased opinion, and it helps a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people out.
That's
So,
true. That's true.
definitely one of my faves.
I love that. I love that. Totally forgot about that episode. Okay. So I'll go into my other fave. My other favorite episode is the
Mhm.
vendor hiring a vendor and venue episode. That was like episode 6. Um,
Mm.
and I was like so happy to share my like tricks that I actually use when picking my vendors and things like that, and the things to look out for, especially for venues and vendors. And
Yeah.
it was really fun actually, like continue to research and also just talk it out.
Mhm.
um that was like near and dear to my heart too. It was
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely, because you wouldn't know those things unless you went through it or you're really close to somebody who went through those things. Those are things
Hmm.
you probably will learn after the fact. So,
Yes.
if you're in the midst of planning, that is the episode you need to chime in on because
Yes.
you're not gonna get that anywhere else.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Anywhere else. And it's like it's funny to think like so far our favorites has been spouse episodes
It's
and
it.
loving the wedding sugar tippy kind of episodes. But that's also true. My other favorite episode, which was the love languages. Um, I
Ooh.
feel like although we kind of unbunked it, and it's some people think it's valid, some people think it's pure nonsense, but I think that take what you need from it.
Yeah.
Maybe you do have a partner who's like, I want you to speak nice to me. Talk to me nice. I want you to do that to me. Give me all these positive affirmations, shower me in gifts, do these services for me, wash my car. It's like there are people who kind of just gear towards certain things more than others. And you probably need to have a better understanding of that in order for you guys to make it work.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. I really did appreciate that episode illuminated that there are different ways to show love and like to help you bridge a gap, if you're feeling unloved, or just maybe even help you to just explain something about yourself. Like, oh, hey, I
Mhm.
never really noticed that. Oh, I'm really mostly like kind words, affirmation type of person. I didn't even think that was a thing, right? And
Yeah.
it was really cool looking into it, even if whether or not we wanted to debunk it, I thought it was pretty helpful. That's a good call. So
Mhm.
that.
Definitely, definitely, and you never know, that could be, like, the
Mm-hmm.
key to solving any kind of, like, underlying issues that's been going on. Imagine if you had a partner who loves acts of service and you've
Mm-hmm.
never done anything, like, as far as, like, washing the dishes, cleaning the house, washing their car, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just always upset around these certain situations, and you're confused. It's like, "Yeah, what's your
Mm-hmm.
problem?" You know?
uh,
Hel
hello.
I like services, and you're not doing any for me. It could be that. So,
Yeah.
I think overall, that episode in Love Languages in a whole, it kinda
Mm-hmm.
reminds you to kind of, like, take a step back and
Mm-hmm.
view your partner and what they're into, and kinda, like,
Yes.
please them and satisfy things that make them happy.
Or, and kind of think of it like astrology and the zodiac signs, where it's like, I think it's a little bit more official, just a little bit more official than those.
Mm,
And, take from it what you need.
and take what you like, yes,
Take what you
definitely.
like. Take what
Mhm.
works, doesn't work.
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah,
do it.
it's not Bible, it's not law, like, your
Hmm.
relationship isn't gonna falter because you didn't do the act of service or whatever. You'll
Right?
be fine.
O- Or maybe like your person, it doesn't fit neatly into any of those categories. It's okay. You
Yeah.
just learning about just an
Mhm.
opportunity, more tools in your toolbox.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're
Well,
imperfect beings, so
that's true.
we
That's
just
true.
roll with the punches, take what you can, compromise
Mhm.
where you can, and,
Mhm.
there might be deal breakers, but if you can figure out how to move around those things and make it work, put the effort in and do it. I say,
I love that.
"Bow, bow, bow."
Pow.
2 thumbs up.
Two thumbs up, or as my niece says, she like puts her thumbs up three times, like one, two, three, and that's six thumbs up.
That's so cute. Love it, love it.
Okay, and of course, we actually have one episode that's both of our favorite.
Mhm. Yeah, and it definitely was
Yes.
one of our top ones too.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to say, obviously, if you guys didn't guess, but it is the
Mhm.
bridal party episode, episode 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. We were in person, and
Yes, yes.
I love, love, love. Like, one of my favorite aspects of the getting married, honestly, is like the bridal party, like
Mhm.
the activities and the pre-wedding stuff, and like the bachelorette, and like however it does. It doesn't always have to be about a party, but I
Mhm.
really like that part. It's really fun and engaging, and it was great
Definitely.
to embark all the knowledge that I had about it.
Mhm. Yeah, choosing your tribe is setting the vibe for you.
Oh, I
Okay?
like that.
Thanks.
Hey.
It definitely is setting the vibe because it's just like hearing stories from other friends and friends of friends who are getting married, and it's like, "Oh, her bridal party doesn't wanna do this, they're not doing that, they don't wanna do this, they're not showing up to that." It's like, yeah, that definitely would kill the vibe of this experience for me as a bride. So
Mhm.
I was thinking like, choosing your bridal tribe definitely sets the vibe
It
for your
really
whole wedding
does.
experience. So
The
you
whole
definitely
tone.
the whole tone. So you definitely want
Mhm.
to take your time and pick essential people who you need to be there, who is going to support, who is going to come through for you, who is going to just suck it up whenever they're feeling annoyed and be like, "You know what? This is their day. I'm going to just get through this and make it worthwhile for them."
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
I like that. It's true. And then also don't be afraid to make changes if you need to.
Nope, nope, nope.
Yep.
And
You
people who are
ideally.
being
Mhm.
asked to be in a bridal party, it's okay to say no. If you feel like you can't
Yes.
fulfill those type of requests, you can say no.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can. You really can. And I think that should be said more often.
Absolutely.
Um so at anyway, yes. So those are our favorite episodes. That was our top episode recaps. And
Mhm.
like we said, more to come for season 2, but it's really fun to reflect on what
Yeah.
we've done so far. Um,
Definitely, definitely. And just like we did in the first episode, we're gonna bring it back. You know
full
who's here
circle.
today?
The husbands are
The
back.
husbands are back and they're going to share their thoughts and opinions on season 1. And
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna quiz them a bit on some things that we embarked and things we talked about and learned. Let's see what they got to say about it.
Yep, let's bring it on in. Hi, husbands. Welcome.
Hey, yo, what's going on? I'm back.
Welcome back.
Long time no see.
Yeah, since episode 1.
Yeah, we just wanted to throw it back to episode 1, bring y'all back and see what you guys thought. You guys tuned in? Like, how are you feeling about season 1 so far?
Okay. Roz.
Phenomenal. Beyond what I've imagined, you all did very well. Very proud of both of you, and I can't wait for whatever like you have in store coming up for your viewers, and hi to all the viewers as well too. Thanks for tuning in. Very, very interested and excited about what's to come and what's already been made already. So definitely congrats.
I did want to say that too. Season 1 definitely came out well. Especially, being able to watch it from my point of view and seeing you guys go episode after episode after episode, and like, the consistency and the information that you guys provided, like it was definitely good.
Do you have a favorite episode?
I don't have a favorite episode. I just had different points that I took from each episode. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. And I'm like, man, if they had a show like this that we were paying attention to when we were getting married, oh man, it would have been way easier. Especially if I had a male's perspective like me or Roz. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Roz, you see what I did right there?
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so Roz, did you have a favorite episode?
Yeah, I actually really tuned into like probably like the most like zeroed into was the do's and don'ts that episode. There's a lot of things that I didn't really like pay attention to like when I was planning our wedding, but then there was also stuff that I was like, okay, good, that's the stuff that I was looking out for anyway. But definitely the do's and don'ts, there's a few things in there that I didn't really know that I like am glad that I know now. I mean, like hopefully I do this only one time. I'm not trying to get married again.
Not the plan. Not the plan.
Yeah, for me it was just really cool because it just shows like how thoughtful and like just the quality of the content that you were both putting out. And so like I learned something that I didn't think I was going to learn. I think that's the whole point. So definitely the do's and don'ts episode is my top one that I tuned into so far this season.
The biggest, like one of the biggest like feedbacks we got was that people really liked hearing you guys come and talk to us. And so that was really, really awesome. And I wanted to know, what were you thinking when we first asked you? Like, what was it? What was first going through your mind when you wanted to come? Was there something specifically that you were like, man, maybe I have to get this one thing off, or maybe I should say this one thing? Like, Steve, how were you feeling?
What were your thoughts?
All right.
What were your thoughts?
Here's my disclaimer before I answer. My wife actually told me earlier today, you guys are going to be on the show. Don't talk too much. And I was like, man, that's crazy, because she feels like I'm too descriptive in my answers. But when she asked me to be on the show, I actually found out probably about an hour prior to you guys starting the show. She was just like, what are you doing? You're going to be on the show tonight, right? I'm like, yo, for real? And I was like taking a nap on the couch, and I'm just like, oh man, the internet is forever. Like, I got to throw cold water on my face, all this, that, and the third. But I loved it though. And I just wanted to give the male perspective to y'all show. I knew y'all show was going to be great once I heard the idea. So that's pretty much it.
I love it. What about you? What were you thinking? What went through your mind, Rozzy?
I mean, like, I'm always down to support my wife. So, like, if she needs me to pretty much help out with stuff, hey, listen, it's time to roll your sleeves up. Let's do it. So, I mean, I was also excited because, like, I don't usually get on camera a lot. but it's really cool. And also very nerve-wracking to have the opportunity to do that. But it was really nice. It was fun. I was excited and glad you got some great feedback, ladies. With us being there. I tried my best. That's all I'm saying.
So yes. All right. So as you guys know, we're talking about wedding planning and spouses and how to get on after marriage during that planning period of marriage. So tell us what you guys' take was during wedding planning and now that you're kind of in the thick of it.
Yeah,
like 6 months or so in. About to be what? 4 years in September?
4 years.
Wow.
So let us know.
4 years.
Tell us your before and after process intakes.
Okay. When you mean before and after, like
how was your wedding planning process before the wedding, and how are you now? Well, for you, 4 years in, and for Roz, about 6 months.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to give this the disclaimer again. There's no way you want me to answer that and not talk too much. There's so much to say. So, Roz, would you like to go first, or can I speak? Like, how do you want to make this happen? Because we're guests on their show.
Yeah, I'll go first. I don't want to follow you because I know you're about to say some fire real quick. So let me just I'll just say it for me, it was like I mentioned before, probably around maybe even the first episode. It was just completely nerve-wracking. It's one of the biggest events of my entire life. I would say probably the biggest, up to that point in my life. And I just didn't want anything to go bad. I was so focused on just doing everything. What can I do? Avoiding everything. What do I need to stay away from? And it was a great sigh of relief once it was done. But it was just for me, it was like a magical thing. I think about my wedding all the time. I reminisce about, how I felt and, that whole process. And it was for me one of the best days of my life, honestly. Now I'm in the newlywed phase, technically. And, it's been just really wonderful. I think being able to be on the other side, I feel like it made us closer, it made us stronger as a couple. I feel like we know the ins and outs of each other. We kind of appreciate each other, and we're just really, happy right now. I think we're in a really good place, and we start the next phase, and we can't wait for that next phase. So, yeah.
I like Roz's answer.
Thank you.
Prior to wedding planning, once we got engaged, I'll keep people's names out of this, but there was a longtime friend of mine who got married a little bit before we did. And I remember I was speaking to him, and he was just like, during wedding planning, you'll argue a lot. So try your best to be understanding and not argue so much. And when he said it to me, the setting we were in was kind of just on some quick pace type of vibe. So I was just like, okay, no problem. But then when wedding planning really started, I was just like, oh, this is not fun. And then I had to revert back to that conversation. I'm like, such and such told me this. They told me this. And it wasn't fun. Yeah. And I don't mean that in a negative way.
No, I get it.
You get what I mean,
they
right?
painted out to seem like it's such a fun time.
It's not. It's really not, because she wants the day to go perfect. You want the day to go perfect. She has her ideas. You have your ideas. So you're trying to mesh both of them together. And it's like you may clash sometimes. But I say all that to say this. Wedding planning, it had its ups and downs. But I love it because by the time you make it to the finish line, you're like, all right, I really rock with you. Because at some point, it was just kind of it was just us. We're like, you know what, we're doing it this way, and we don't care what anyone else says. And you know what I mean? And that was great. And I want to say this for after you get married. I didn't know, or no one told me that it's like you join this like invisible fraternity of like married people. So I remember when we got married, Karima was like, "Oh, all right." When we were going to our honeymoon, she was like, "We have to wear Mr. and Mrs. shirts." I'm easygoing. I don't mind. Sure, no problem. She made the Mr. and Mrs. shirts. So we're going to the airport. We get there bright and early because, you know, we're traveling with me. I'm not missing any flights. And we went to the bar and we're getting breakfast and everything. And they're like, "Oh my God, this shot's on me." And it's like, "Okay, congratulations, guys." Like, okay. We walk to the airport and like couples are stopping us. They're like, "Congratulations, guys. Yo, communication is key. You see us right here? 10 years. Communication is key, brother." I was like, "Okay, all right." And then,
like if you want raw, free marital advice on your honeymoon,
yes.
Every married couple
they will come to you and talk to you.
Everything, like all the things they've learned in the X amount of years they've been together.
You remember?
What?
We were waiting online and like a couple turned around and it's like, "Oh,"
came out of the line.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh, 25 years over here, brother." Yeah. And I'm just like, okay. Even when we got to the resort, we met another couple that's like, "We come here every year." And then we went to like a restaurant and they just like called. They're like, "Hey, Stephen Karima." And we're like, wow. So I would say that once you get married, like crossing over to the other side, like you said, Roz, it's great. It's really great. Wedding planning, I would say to the guys, definitely just know that there's going to be some ups and downs, and that's normal. But yeah. Almost 4 years now. We're still here on the show, Sugar and Scott. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I was told not to talk too much earlier when we was at brunch. She was
That's
like,
out the window now.
"No, okay. All right."
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question. What was the wedding day how you guys envisioned or expected it to be? Like, was it your dream? What you thought in your mind's eye? Was it what you were thinking? Either one of you guys can answer this.
You guys ask great questions. That's why I think me and Roz like to come on this show. You're provoking. Roz, you know, I always defer to you if you want to go first. If you want me to go first, no problem. But yeah.
I'll take it first. It was like I've been to weddings, you know, like I've experienced that, and it's always just been like a really great time, and you celebrating a couple. I've never actually had it be the couple that's being celebrated, so it was always like, you know, I kind of mapped it out in my mind, but it wasn't quite what I thought it would be because it was a lot more fun than I thought it would be, and I was just like, "Oh man, this is fun. This is really fun." Like, you know, for me, it was like, you know, I probably like physically, I probably wasn't the best, but it's like it was completely like it was the best. Like, so it's like I can't even imagine like it being better for me than what it was, you know, like, you know, for me, like I married like my best friend. And so basically, you know, that is her, yes. And it was just magical. Like, you know, everything about it was something that I like vividly remember. I think about it, like I told you, all the time. You know, it's something that I know I would love to recreate, but it's one of those things where like I just can't recreate it. And I think that's what makes it even more special. Like, you know, it's a very, very, you know, it goes into the bucket of the cherished memories with like some of my just like favorite memories with like my friends and family over the course of my life. So it's yeah, it's yeah, I don't know how else to say it. Like it was amazing.
You picked, you envisioned the bridal party being in, what is the color?
Cinnamon.
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 Yeah.
Happy
you enjoyed it.
I think that sounds fancy.
Oh, okay, true. Yeah.
What were your
Man,
expectations?
I want to say, well, we both got married outside, so obviously, there's the concern of, the weather. So I want to say about once we were about 2 weeks out, that's when it started hitting me like, oh man, I hope the weather holds up. I hope the weather holds up. And then I remember the week of, I didn't even look at the weather at all. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to do this to myself. But the morning of, and I remember driving to the venue from the hotel because I was with my dad, and the sun was just shining beautifully, and it wasn't too hot. It was just like a calm, like 72, 73, at most 75 degrees. And it didn't feel humid. It was just a nice sunny day. And I was just like, wow, okay, so it hit me in increments as far as like what the wedding day was going to be like. And it was just like when I got to the venue, it hit me like, oh my God, everybody's here because of me. And then it was like, all right. And then when me and the groomsmen got dressed and they took us out of the suite, I was like, oh my God, everybody's dressed in uniform. This is all because of me. I'm like, oh my God.
Uniform.
Yeah, that's how that's how I felt. That's how I felt. I was like, oh, and then I would peek through like the door and stuff, and I started seeing family members showing up dressed to the nines. I'm like, oh my God, this is all happening because of me and Karima. I'm like, oh, center of attention. This is too much, and it was just like, it was great. Like now I look back at it, it was great. Like even talking about it, sometimes you get the chills because like even the point when they get you, Roz, and correct me if I'm wrong. That point when you get to the ceremony, and it's right before you walk down the aisle, and you get that chance to soak everything in, and you're looking at the people, and everyone's looking at you because you're the center of attention for the moment because you guys don't come out yet, and it's kind of just like you take a deep breath. It's like, whoa, this is really happening. And then that walk down the aisle, it just is great. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this, but once the wedding is done and you guys and like we get to walk back down the aisle as Mr. and Mrs., like I can't even explain that feeling. Like you guys have to get married just to go through it and see how it feels immaculate. It's like you're holding hands with your loved one and everyone's cheering on. You're like, whoa! It's like, yo, it's like, oh my God. And you're trying to keep your composure because you don't want to be too, out there with it, but it's like, wow, we did it. We did it.
Yeah.
So yes, the wedding day was great. I went into it with no expectations just because I didn't know what it would be. So I don't want to say, oh, I feel it should be like this. It should be like this. I've never been married before. So
Same.
but it was great though. It was great.
Good point.
It was great.
Okay.
It
All
was
right. You
great.
guys are being very poetic with these questions. So let's
Great
jump into
questions.
some
Great questions.
things.
Great questions.
Let's jump into some challenges. What was the most challenging part of wedding planning?
Guest list.
Oh,
Sorry, Roz. I just had to jump out there real quick with it. Guest list. Guest list. Guest list. All right.
List. I second the guest list. I'm gonna add on the vendors. That was very interesting to navigate. It's funny, you would just think that people would just love to take your money, but apparently it's just not that simple. So yeah, I think as well for me, it was just like just how like wedding planning for me was a 24/7 thing. And it was just like it's for me, it was such an invasive thing that I just was like, there was a point where I was just like, man, like, is this how it's gonna be every day until I get married?
Yeah.
Just like, it's like it try to make time, but the time is never enough for the time that you make because there's always something. And then you're just like, you're just like, man, like I hope this is all worth it because this is crazy right now. But
Facts.
yeah, those are like the top three challenges for me, and because it's something that I like I mentioned, like I've never done before, right? Uh, it has a feel of like a graduation or like a big thing, but it's not. It's everything. Like graduations are set up to where you just show up and you just have whatever. Like you have to do everything, and then you also have to show up. So my like,
Like a solo graduation.
Yeah.
There's no one else.
like I had like vivid like I'm laughing like, but now I remember like when it was over and I got back from my wedding, like
Oh.
I
Yeah.
actually had a nightmare
Yeah.
that I had to actually like finish like planning, and I woke up
I get
Yeah.
what he
and
means,
she
though.
was like, "It's okay." Like to let it down. I literally woke up out of my sleep like, "Oh no, I gotta go," and she was like, "No, it's done. We got married." I was like, "Okay, all right," because you just up into the literally, I'm thinking like every step of the way throughout the wedding. Each point, I'm like, okay, I got to this point. This is awesome. This is amazing. Will the next part be awesome and amazing? Will it go like how I want it to go? Can it go? And I'm just going to each part, right? Every single step of the wedding when it's actually happening, I'm just thinking like, please make sure this goes well. Please make sure no one does anything crazy. Please make sure no one does anything crazy. Please make sure I don't trip, fall, anything like whatever. And once it's done, you're just like, funny. It's ironic. Like you go through all that worrying, but after it's over, I remember thinking like, man, I wish I can just like know what I know now and just rewind it and it just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Just do it one more
Just do it one
time.
more time.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
With I want to say with me, and the question was like some of the challenges.
Yeah.
One of my challenges was balancing the relationships that I have with others outside of us. Meaning, like during wedding planning, right? I'm consistently being asked questions by my fiance at the time. However, my parents don't know that. So when I go to my parents' house, they're consistently asking me questions. I have groomsmen that are consistently asking me questions. And sometimes, like, we all have those group of friends, and sometimes some may take it more serious than others up until the day of, and that day everybody, falls in line. But it's like, bro, you don't know what I'm really going through at home, like dealing with wedding planning. Like, don't ask me silly questions. I'm not in the mood to answer silly questions. Or even like with parents, and they're like, so who's going to be the officiant? And it's like, I just want a break. I left home. My wife or my fiance at the time was just asking me and drilling me with questions like, just give me a break. So, what I feel like is challenging, especially for future grooms, is just like getting away from the wedding stuff. Because you can't. Because you can't.
Yeah.
Because you'll run into your good friends and they're excited for you. So they'll ask you questions.
That's good.
You'll run into family members. They'll ask you questions. You'll run into, and best believe parents, oh yeah, they're asking questions and they're giving suggestions.
Nonstop. But
So
they're probably thinking they're being helpful or courteous to
yeah,
ask.
but as a future groom, it's challenging
Yeah.
to not let none of that stuff get to you. Because, like, imagine a sister or a brother or a cousin or a close family friend just asking a simple question, not knowing you're at your wit's end for that day. Like, you know what? I just need a break from wedding planning. And they're just like, hey, so does it really start at 6 o'clock or did you put it? And it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, maybe gotta throw out that disclaimer, like, look, we're gonna hang out, no wedding talk.
Yeah, that's the thing,
Don't
Roz.
ask me nothing
Like,
about a wedding.
and I understand that the wives, they went through it because it's their special day. It's we're just arm candy. However, I feel like society as a whole just doesn't understand the amount of pressure that goes on us future grooms with wedding planning. And as men, especially, they just feel like, oh, they could take it. Oh, let me ask you a question. But sometimes you just really need a break. You just really need a break. And trying to find that break was very hard. There was no breaks.
That's understandable.
Yeah. It becomes encompassing and it clips a lot of stuff. So you definitely have to fight for that balance.
Right.
Make intentions, make dates, like we said before, like, you know, carve off time for wedding planning. Roz and I, we had to plan our wedding so many times because of COVID. And by the third time, like on the third time, we finally kind of got into a rhythm where it was like, no, we had a calendar and we had dates and times for wedding planning, and that's it. Like,
But even then, that's still,
and even then, it was still times that it still had to go far. Yeah.
Yeah, there was still times where it was like, you know, hey, you know, like we got some spare time here. Can we just like do some wedding stuff? Can we talk? And then you gotta literally be like, you know, you gotta be honest with yourself because
do I really want to do this right now?
Yeah. And you also don't want to, you know, set up the bad habits where you're like, hey, like, is this something that's always going to happen now? Are we going to try to fit in like extra wedding time talk, like, you know, like in the midst of us taking time that should be non-wedding time talk? Like, you know, it's a real back and forth, and you just gotta like, again, you know, be mindful of that, fellas, or you know, anyone who's, you know, like, you know, in the wedding planning stage. And you know, because the thing is like, and it also depends on the dynamic of, you know, it's a team thing, right? But you know, it just so happens that me and, you know, my fiance at the time, my wife now, you know, we decided that she wanted to spearhead most of the stuff with the wedding, right? And because of that, you know, like I was just kind of like the helping with it. And so like I also have to make sure to give her the grace to understand that, you know, maybe she's asking me for extra time because she's doing most of the heavy lifting when it comes to all the planning. So I have, it's a give and take, right? Like not every time, but I also have to mind for like if she thinks like, hey, like this would be great time to talk, I have to be like, you know, all right, fine, let's you know utilize as much time as we can between now and the wedding. So yeah.
One of the things I would say is this. Do not be afraid to take some time off from wedding planning. Like I remember when we were wedding planning, right? And you remember when we was like running into a lot of friction, and it's like, okay, this is not good. We're arguing a lot. So we took like a month off from wedding planning. We're like, we'll reconvene in a month because we were planning at the time. We were going to Jamaica. So we went to Jamaica, no wedding talks, none of that. You know, we actually went to Jamaica for a wedding. So we got a chance to go there and not discuss any wedding stuff. And that was the rule. It's just like, we're just going to chill. And I remember when we were there, we had the time of our lives. And then we came back and it was like such a refreshing feeling. And it was just like, all right, we can start talking about wedding stuff again. Yeah. And we just had a whole different perspective on it. And I think that was very pivotal in our wedding planning because we actually took a break, a planned break. So it's okay to say, you know what? I'm going to fall back for a little bit.
When it gets too tense, right?
Right. So yeah, I'll leave on that note.
That's
and
good.
I'm gonna flip this question.
Yeah.
So as you guys know, we talk about weddings planning and pre-marital stuff, but we also dive into after the wedding.
Okay.
So now that you guys have been 6 months plus into marriage, what is your most challenging experience thus far?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it's like, you know, it really comes back again to like even my level of risk, right? You know, it's like if I make a decision, whether it be financially or whatever or something like that, you know, it's not my decision anymore. It's not like, oh, I'm going to be responsible for the consequences. Like someone else is now going to be responsible to some level for my own choices and decisions and consequences. Like I can't run myself into financial ruin, right? Like I can't sit here and be super aggressive, possibly depending who you talk to, maybe different, but even things like super aggressive investing, for example, right? Like if I go ahead and make a really terrible investment and I just sink my funds, it's like, nah, yeah, it's not just me being like, man, I made a really bad mistake. It's like, man, there's like cascading consequences that can affect her, and she had nothing to do with it, right? Normally outside of that. So, like being mindful. I think that's the word I think I want to use, is like just being more mindful that someone else's feeling, someone else's, whole entire being is a part of that. And once I made that switch, for me it became just like second nature, like Steve was saying, like you just go to different layers of yourself as you continue in different phases as well too. So I think that I probably not at any given point in our relationship, I think I've never been more mindful about the things that I'm spending on, the things that I'm moving and doing, the things that I am, because it takes that, right? Because it takes that, because someone is dedicating their life to be with me, for the rest of their life. So I'm not gonna be really trivial about the decisions that I make in those particular cases.
Right. So to piggyback off of what Roz said, honestly, if you want to talk about challenges, it's sometimes it's I don't know how it is for you, Roz, but sometimes it's like really listening when you don't want to listen. That could be a challenge where it's like, I'm used to, with me, I like to do things how I do things. It is what it is. Like, I feel like I'm an adult now. Like, we're past that stage of being, children where, you have to listen to someone telling you, oh, I don't think you should do this. I don't think you should do this, and taking the advice and like, all right. So now of course you get to a certain point in your life where you're like, I'm making the decisions. This is what I'm going to do. But it's like, now you're married. So it's like, you have to listen to that other person that's like, I don't think that's wise. And sometimes, you may be in your feelings about it and be like, but you have to trust that you made the right decision in getting married, which I did, and it's like, of course, I'm going to listen because I'm like, you know what? You do have my best interests at heart. So I'm going to listen. So I want to say, knowing when to listen and when to just do your own thing, not really like do your own thing, but like, you get what I'm saying.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. I want to just throw something in there. This is a good question. Very, very good question. Very. And like from my perspective, I think something that might have been a little bit more challenging is like, I know we had to plan a wedding, but it reminded me that like there's still more things to always continue to plan. Right? Like it's not like, oh, you guys just plan a wedding, that's it. No, going forward, every other decision you make, every other plan you make, you're making with this person. It doesn't go back to you just doing your own thing again. And good thing we went through that. Like we went through the whole wedding, big, huge emotional plan. But and so I have a good idea of like what you're thinking of and how to approach you, or like things that whatever. But it's still going back to your point. It's like, yeah, I'm not alone anymore. And I have to remember, like, yeah, this obviously is something I gotta run past my husband, like, or keep him in mind.
Yeah, just like keep you in the loop. I think you just, like I think like being able to just be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing this. It's like, what do you mean you're doing this? Right? Like, oh, by the way, I'm going here. Oh, you mean you're going here? Like, it's like being able to spring things at the last moment is like, that's something that you like, I know that like I'm more responsible now with, because when we were just together dating or whatever, even I'd be like, oh, I'm about to head over here, I'll see you later, type of thing.
Right.
Like, like, oh, I'm about to oh, I bought this, by the way, like just want to let you know, and it's already bought or something like that. Then it's like, nah, you can't be doing stuff like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like, at least you have to keep that person in the loop. Like, I'm about to head this place, I'm about to buy this thing, you know, like, and then you come together and then you actually make that decision. You know, is it something that we can do together? That's the thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a subtle
we thing.
difference.
It's a
It's a
subtle
we thing, but
difference.
yeah, and it doesn't mean like you're asking permission each time.
Yes, correct.
Right.
It's like you just telling the person you have
That's
to
it.
keep them in the loop because you're pretty much one now. It's a different. It's a
That's so funny.
Yeah.
You guys are so right, because the other day, you remember when you were out with Logan, and it's like, it's morning. She went out with Logan, and I'm like, yeah, I'm headed to the gym. Like, I'm just going to the gym. But I need her to know, you know, I'm headed to the gym just in case when you get back, and you're like, oh, when I walk inside, hopefully Steve could just take Logan and I could do.
Yeah.
Well, you know, in your mind, like, all right, Steve's probably not going to be home when I get home. Or,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So, yeah, but how about you, Ree?
I feel like I agree with all of this. And I think to the point that you guys are making, it takes a level of, I guess, experience in it to realize that, okay, this is not me asking my person for permission.
Yes.
This is what I need to do. This is because we need to be on one accord in order for us to communicate and operate together.
Right.
I think with me, the challenge that I embarked on in marriage is that the upbringing. Like, I was raised by my mom. My dad passed when I was very young. So my mom raised me and my sister and my brother. So I'm always used to seeing a woman handling things as far as like the woman and male type of dynamic in a typical marriage. I didn't fully see that because it was my mom versus with Steve, he's had his mom and his dad. So there'll be times we're in here and it's like, I'm doing this, I'm helping Logan do stuff, I'm carrying a bunch of stuff to the car, and he's like, I'm here. You're not a single mom.
Like, oh,
I can help you.
man.
But it's just like, you know, this is what I've seen
I'm like,
growing
what
up.
Yeah. That's a good point to bring up.
Just kind of letting that
upbringing plays a major part.
That's very like we are like mirrored of each other.
Yeah.
Because there's only women in my house.
Same dynamic.
Like only women, and I never had like a guy there or, you know, a male perspective. I'm seeing my mom literally do every single thing. And so in my head, I don't that comes into play with the partner part, right? Like, how do I have to remind myself to think of the other person and how they can help? What can they take on? What should they be doing? I don't literally have to do everything. You have to think of them too.
Yeah, you know, I got you, girl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's
I'm like, what?
And you know, me and Steve come from the same background, like you mentioned. Like we were almost here, like we were images of each other, and so like a lot of things, like it's so you fended for yourself, and you come from the environment where you have to fend for yourself in that capacity,
right?
And it's like being able to just, you know, let yourself, you know, like be able to give that trust and to be able to allow that person to, you know, like, hey, like, you know, like what in any capacity, right? Emotionally, financially, anything, to know like, yo, this person is going to have my back no matter what.
It's a level of trust.
And it's a level of trust that, you know, that's built. And, you know, like I think it's an absolutely beautiful thing. And Reema, you brought this up, and you know, my wonderful wife was also, you know, just piggybacking on that too, is that, you know, I think that shift is beautiful. I think it's something where, you know, like, you know, I always let her know you don't have to give up who you are and that fierceness and that, you know, like whatever. But I also want you to, you know, be able to let your hair down and just be like, you know, mentally, you know, I know that could possibly be taxing, always having to be up on guard all the time and always having to feel like, you know, it's like a scarcity kind of mindset kind of thing. And so when you realize, oh, like, you know, this person's going to be able to help me with this. This person's going to be there emotionally available. And this person's also going to be able to help me physically with a bunch of different things. Then it's like, I think that's when you get a chance to really be yourself, because you don't have to spend that mental energy on what you used to have to deal with. You always put that towards something else. Maybe you know.
That's this part right here could be like a whole other segment, because it's because growing up there were certain things I know my mom would never let my dad attempt to do. And I know for a fact, you know my parents, my dad would be like, what? Like, even if I was there and like, let's say my dad wasn't there, it's like, you let your mom do that? But you know, that didn't really happen. But because I just knew, so it's like,
all right, mental note for next season.
We'll get into that for next season.
How's your upbringing bring apart?
Switch back into the planning of things.
Let's switch it on.
So what let's say, as far as you guys as grooms, right? Let's go back to that time. We know it was a while ago. So go back to the time of when you were in groom mode. Were there any misconceptions that you felt like was had about grooms and wedding planning?
Yeah, that, you know, like, as much as I say how difficult it was,
he was ready.
Like, there's you know, like, I think we get so caught up with, like, specifically thinking that, you know, women are the only people that look forward to the weddings their whole entire lives and stuff like that. But best believe we are, like, looking forward to that day too, and we're planning on having fun, and we enjoy the process with our respective groomsmen as well too. I had a great time with my groomsmen, and there were certain challenges that come up within that, but like, I'm like, you know, I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, you know, like, all the girls have the fun, their bridesmaids, and you also see all these things in the media and everything like that. But like, my collection of groomsmen, man, like, we had an absolute, like, blast, like, even within our own little separate group chat.
I could tell.
The vibes were amazing. Like, I was just so like honored and to have them as my groomsmen, and that they wanted to be my groomsmen. I mean, I literally, like, I mean, it was fantastic. I think sometimes you get so caught up with trying to satisfy your partner or your wife in that case that people don't believe that men will have, like, you're not going to have a great time throughout the process. I had a blast planning with my groomsmen, and it was really a wonderful experience. And it just showed, like, you know, like Steve said, during the wedding time, it just kind of was like, it was just like, again, like, it was a magical experience to go through that whole process with them, you know?
The biggest misconception is that grooms are not stressed during wedding planning, or they do not care as much as the brides.
Do not care.
That's the misconception, because here's the thing. I live with you. So you walking around stressed from morning till night, that does me no good.
None.
No good. So the fact that, and I feel like this is all across the world, it's like, I feel like you're not putting in as much effort as I am, or whatever the case, whatever is being said. And it's just like, especially in our case, I'll be honest, it's not my fault if I have direct access to certain vendors, which makes life easier for me. Like, we didn't have to worry about getting a DJ. I had a lot of DJs to pick from. Photographer.
Yeah.
I knew what it was going to be. So all the like videographer, my tasks were easier because of who I am and in the field that I'm in. So
and
it was
like being the groom,
right? I cannot, not really. I don't know. I'm on y'all show, so I'll let you have that. But yeah, so it's like, why am I being penalized because the tasks that I have, I'm able to knock them out in a timely manner? And for you, like, for me, finding a suit and getting tailored and all that, it was easy. Like,
of course,
it was easy.
I just think the task for the bride and the task for the grooms are just not well balanced.
Okay.
No, they're not. Okay.
They're not. But stress level, to go back to, the stress level is the same, because you don't know how many conversations I had outside of us where I'm just like, please don't talk to Reema about this. Just, just give her a break. Or, yeah, talk to me from now on, moving forward. Reema's really going through it. This, that, and the third. So I had to shield a lot. And just to shield things off and still be told, I don't know, I feel like... You know where I'm going with it. So it's like,
I feel like.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm like, you feel like, and Reema knows. She'll be like, I feel like, and I'm like, you feel like what?
Yep.
Like, I just told this person to leave you alone. I just said this. I put this in play, and this circles back to our first, like one of our first questions, Roz, when it's like, balancing those relationships, because it's like I'm dealing with this, and then now it's like, hey, so how far along are you guys with this? And it's like, oh my God, are you really asking me this right now? You get what I'm saying? So yeah, that's I'll leave it there.
Yeah, thank y'all for important that you guys you did it again. You guys came and dropped gems.
That's it.
Yes. So
rain and sugar.
So now, like, let's do something a little fun. Let's play a game.
Oh God!
Yeah. So
games again.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. It's no fun.
We play throughout our whole seasons. We always play. We play a bunch of games. So we figure maybe this time we do a Would You Rather. Obviously, wedding edition. Okay, and so
sounds like trouble.
Okay,
I didn't even like this last time. I didn't like this last time.
Okay.
Hey, let's go.
All right. Oh yeah, we did this with you guys last time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you rather that people didn't come to your ceremony but showed up to the reception, or would you rather them show up to the ceremony and not the reception?
I'd rather have people show up to the ceremony and not the reception.
Okay. Why?
That's because I think that's probably the most, like, for me in my mind, that's why I really want the audience to be able to see us get married. And to really go through the really important things, like, because it's a culmination of everything that we've been through condensed as a couple into that one moment. So you're sharing vows, you're talking about what you got to this point, you're meeting all the different people involved in your life who was important and got you to that where you were. And then, this, for some people, there's also a religious aspect to it as well too. So it's a lot more. It encompasses who you are as a couple in that moment for the ceremony. And then I feel like the reception is a party. Like, if no one showed up, like, then I'd be like, oh wow, where's everyone going? But then worst case scenario, you could probably meet some people at some other place. Reception is a party. Parties can happen anywhere. That's like, we get a great time to enjoy ourselves. And so I feel like the ceremony is something that for me can't be like, it's like the meat and potatoes of the whole entire wedding. And then the reception is like a celebration of that moment afterwards.
Yeah.
Nice.
I concur with Roz 100%. And the reason why is because when you're, at least for me, when we were thinking of the guest list, I'm thinking of like people that you would want to see this sacred union. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is a very important moment in our lives. Yeah. And so you think about the people that you want to witness it. So that's what you think about. Now, exactly like Ron said, the reception, that's the party part. Okay, we just did this serious stuff. Now we get to enjoy ourselves, relax a little bit, dance, all of that type of stuff. Cool. But I want you there at the ceremony. And to be 100% honest, some people, depending on the day that you get married or where you're getting married, they may be like, all right, I have to leave early for work, or I have to do this, but I'll be there for the wedding. And that means a lot more than, I miss your ceremony, but I'm just here, to hear a good music,
get turned.
Frank, and it's like, yo, come on, man, you couldn't be on time for my wedding. So yeah.
Okay. All right, I think I have one. It's not as sweet. And forgive me if it's going in a whole different direction.
Doesn't get spicy.
I feel like you guys have been so sweet and poetic.
Oh my God.
I just have
disclaimers already.
Would you rather?
I don't like this question already. I don't like it.
Would you rather
No.
your spouse have cold feet and runs away, or say no at the I do's at the altar?
Oh, okay. Hold on. Now, can I ask some questions in regards to this? Like, when you say cold feet and runs away, does this mean like I'm already getting dressed in my
out
groom's?
there and your person's gone. They got cold feet. They couldn't come out and face everybody. They just left.
You stand there at the altar.
Oh,
or they get down to the altar, all the officiant, the reverend, whoever says their piece. Then they get to the I do. You say I do, and they say I don't.
I got my answer. Ross, can I take this?
Which one would you rather?
Can I answer first on this? Oh, he said cold feet already, right?
1,000%. Because if you get cold feet, then at least everyone knows that you got cold feet and you didn't want to go. So, like, they're like, yeah, man, you know, Roz, he did all this stuff like that. He showed up, he was ready, you know, like he or she, whatever it is your partner is, like, you know, like they couldn't make the commitment. Then it's not on me. Do they know, like, you know, at least I'm gonna stand up. Right. I had every intention to do this, you know, like, and it also saves me the embarrassment of, you know, people nowadays are recording everything. I can tell people in a wedding, like, listen, I have a videographer. Please don't record. Someone's still going to get some string of pictures. Someone's still going to get a bunch of videos. But now it's just going to be a recurring memory for everyone that's in there. Someone's going to get their hands on the video. Someone's going to disseminate that video. Nah, like if you don't show up, then it's like, all right, cool. Like you don't show up. I'm slightly embarrassed. I had all these people come here, but everyone's gonna feel sorry for me. I'm Roz, I'm sorry. Whatever. But come up and do it, and then be like, no. You know, all you're gonna hear is, oh my gosh, like I got this, like
I got this viral. See that I gotta piggyback off of what Roz said. Absolutely, because here's the thing: if you don't walk down the aisle, anything could be said.
That's
like this happened. So there was an emergency, and I could sit there and at least play it off at the altar, like what happened? Pull out my phone, like and run away too.
We're running together.
I'd be like, yo, pull out the phone, or at least I give my dad my phone because I don't even need it because honestly, there's no reason to call me. You should already just be here. So I'll be like, yo, what's my phone? Hello? What? That happened? And I'll just leave. However, like Roz said, we live in the era of social media and everything going viral. No matter if you say you want your wedding unplugged, for some reason, you might find someone that knows exactly what you said in your vows. Yeah, and I'm gonna let that sit right there. Right?
Yeah, because you do say your vows before you get to that
right.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, like, nah, I don't want that to just, get replayed and replayed. It's like, oh, wow, we was at such and such's wedding. Yo, do you know when they said da-da-da-da-da? She was like, no. Everybody was like, wait, what? Did we hear correctly? Like, nah. Roz, I'm 100% with you on that one. Yeah, nah. Let me be up there by myself and play it off like, oh, what? She's feeling sick? Let me go check on her and then, hop in the Uber and bounce because I don't even want to be around my family either because I don't want
to don't make me go possibly viral. Like, that's messed up. That's
what?
Foul. Like, that's foul. We enemies forever after that too. Like,
yo.
I'm not reconsidering after that. I'm like, we're not
talk about energy.
Now you put me through the whole wedding planning phase. You put everyone to this place. You made me get all the vendors in place. I'm nervous. I'm whatever walking down there. Everything's good. And you come up and be like, no. Now listen, everyone has a choice. Like, no matter how I feel, I'm not gonna make somebody marry me. But at the same time, it's like if you come up and you say no. Like, at what point did you think no? Is it like when you're walking down the aisle? Like,
wait, was your vows so trash? They're like, never mind.
Yeah, I'm like, is it how I smell? Like, what? How do I look?
Man, listen.
At some point, you gotta give me some eye contact, make something like, nah, I can't do
like,
this.
Yo, nah, this isn't like.
Don't come up and be like,
yo, nah, it's dead.
Point. Do you take no? I'm like. Bro, we went through so much up to this.
You see, Roz, he immediately looked away like, oh my God, we went through so much. Yeah, but Roz, you know what's funny? And I don't want to take over their show, but you know what? this is the second time we got a chance to come on this, so I'm gonna ask, because I remember me and Ree had this conversation before watching the TV show, and I was just like, man, where do you go from there? And it stemmed off of what you just said about this question. So it's like, if we were to propose to you guys and you guys were to say no, would you guys expect us to still be together?
Oh, your question?
Yeah, this is a question during the game.
Oh, you asking us?
Yeah.
Like,
okay, if we said no,
if we said no, do you expect us to still be together?
I mean, I feel like we should have a conversation. You don't want to know why I said no?
I would think if somebody said no, then they also breaking up with me. So
I'm like, if you're gonna say
I
no,
can see that.
like,
I feel like no was like, yeah.
But maybe they weren't ready. Maybe they were like, okay, I'm getting very nervous. I don't think I'm ready for this yet.
Yeah, no, that's true. You could talk about it.
No, that's fine. You have a conversation, but then my answer is going to be cool, right? So you're going to propose to me now, because now I can only operate off of when you're ready, right? And that's fine. So like, you're going to have to propose to me, and if you don't want to do that, then we're not going to be together, right? Because you know my intentions.
No, why
you know
gotta be like that? Why you can't just be like, like maybe
because we're embarrassed. That's why we're embarrassed. We're hurt. You just embarrassed us in front of mad people.
That's
we don't know how to
act. That's what I'm about to go to, because I know I can't speak for nobody else but myself. I made sure that the proposal that I did was almost exactly to the T of which my wife wanted to be proposed in. So it's like, if I go that far for attention to detail, then what at that point is like, you have everything you want to do to proposal. I'm getting the idea that you want to be proposed to, and then you say no. I'm respect, like, you're not ready. It's all cool. It happens. Again, I'm not going to force someone to marry me, but I'm also not going to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't want to like marry me. Like, I don't care if it's 10 years, 5 years down the line, whenever you're ready. It's not about when you're just ready. It's about us. Like, then I'm going to be like, listen, if that's the case, I obviously got this wires mixed up. So when you're ready, come propose to me, and we'll see how that is for you. And if I happen to not feel that I'm ready to be married to you and you're ready, then I can just be like, oh no. And then I can be like, well, listen, like, now don't you want to talk about when we're both ready now to get married? Because then you said no, I said no. It's cool.
No, it's not even about being petty. It's just all right. I love how Roz, and I'm gonna talk to you on this one. I love how they're trying to be so politically correct with this answer, because they're trying to say, oh, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Can you imagine what that conversation's like? Imagine you drove to a restaurant or to whatever establishment it is with what you thought is your potential fiance. She just said no. Now you guys have to drive back. What's that car ride like? Ooh. What are you really saying to me?
It's her right. Listen, it's her right to say yes or no. It's anyone's right to say yes or no. But
what if they said yeah, and then in private said actually no?
Then that's like,
because I'm not ready. Like, they say
don't want to embarrass you.
They don't embarrass you, but then when you guys get private, they say, actually no.
Then that I feel like is not as bad as just outright saying no, because at that point you say yes, and everybody's like, oh, that's it. But then like, you can work on it behind the scenes. You're like, oh, I'm not ready right now. In the timeline, we can discuss timelines. And if it becomes a thing where you're like, I'm not ready to get married for like X amount of time, and it doesn't line up, at least then, just like how getting a cold feet question is versus coming up and saying no in front of everybody, we could just say and come up with something like, oh, like something happened, or you could be like, this didn't work out along the way while we were planning, and so the wedding didn't happen. It's not like we don't love each other. We didn't want to see each other get married. It just didn't work out. But if you say no, then it was like, why would he even think to try to actually propose to this person without knowing concretely that they want to get married? Like, that's a conversation that you have with your partner. Do you want to actually get married to me? Can you see yourself getting married to me? What's your timeline of getting married? When do you want to, like, I'm not going to just pull up like, some guys do it and they bold. Some people do it as they just pull up, hey, you want to marry me? And they get a no. And they're like, oh man, like, I'm like, nah, like, I'm too meticulous that way. I'm too meticulous for me to come and propose to you. And then you say no, that means I'm completely off base. And that's not I wouldn't even do it if I was completely off base in that kind.
So I just had to ask that question because Roz, I didn't know we was playing games today. I just thought we was coming on the show. So I just wanted to throw a little wrench in there. You know, it was a good question. At least I feel like it was. So, but you guys can continue with y'all, you know. Yeah. It was just a light audible.
We appreciate it.
Gotta be flexible.
Yeah. Y'all answered it well,
Gotta
though.
be flexible and pivot.
Yeah.
I re-pivoted like she was on CNN. I'm like, yo, I don't like what she was trying to answer. Well, go ahead. Go ahead, though. Go ahead. We here for the games. Go ahead.
All right. Should we ask another would you rather? Let's see. So lately, I was just talking to Nettie about this. I've been seeing a trend that is against the traditional norm of flower girls. Would you rather have a traditional flower girl or have one of your groomsmen doing nonsense down the aisle, like throwing flowers in the air, handing out beers, doing something completely out of the norm?
Handing out beers?
Yeah, they do. They have the beer board. That's what they call it.
All right. Oh, man. Let's keep it traditional now. Let's keep it traditional. Yeah,
Oh, traditional man.
Let's keep it traditional. That's doing too much. I don't want to be part of the doing too much awards.
I don't know. I feel like watching the ones where the guys just throwing flowers.
I don't like it. Plus, in my culture, when don't throw flowers. You know, don't throw flowers because they say like, yo, that means you're not doing nothing in life. So, no.
And now you're physically throwing flowers.
Like you're not doing nothing. No, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Like, for me, I'm like, it's the crazy part is like I see it and I can understand it. I'm open to it. The idea, just for my wedding specifically, it wasn't something that we saw it actually. We saw it. I don't know if you remember.
We did.
We
saw
a clip of it happen. We were like, for like this lady, she had her brother come out and they were doing the things like that. It was actually pretty cool. It was funny. But for me, it was like, we already had like flower girls ahead of time. And we were just, you know, like, I guess fortunate enough to have like, you know, young, like, you know, nieces and, you know, whatever that were around the age that we wanted to do it. And they became flower girls. So we just did it traditionally. I think it's just like, you know, it all depends on your audience and how you feel.
And what you got. Yeah.
And I think this goes into a big thing, right? This is your wedding. And I think people keep like, I get being traditional. I get all these other things. And, you know, those things do matter when it comes to family and what you want to, you know, present yourself with. But I think a lot of couples relinquish their power as far as like, this is your wedding. This is something that means a lot more to you than the other people who are witnessing it. And even if it means a lot more to them, it'll never mean as much to you, like to them as it does to you. Yeah. So please, you know, like, again, this is your wedding. So if you want to have your boys or your girls come in and throw flowers, and that's something that you're always going to be cherishing and remembering, then do it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to have the traditional way and that means much more to you and your family, do that. But I mean, like, I honestly would have no problem with that. Like, I'm big team, do the wedding how you want to do it, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to remember it more than everyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, speaking on this trend though, there's also one that they were doing with the grandmas were the flower girls. Did you see that?
No. Oh, that's cool.
That's the cutest. The grandma is the flower girl. I was like, if my grandkids don't ask me to be a flower girl, I'm gonna be tight.
That's cool though.
That's cute.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's really cute. It's really cute.
Yeah, man. You know,
so
I know being
things are awesome.
That voyeur flair. Because you know, when you say voyeur flair, it's like, oh, he ain't doing nothing.
You have to translate.
I know. You throwing flowers. It's like, like it's a saying in Creole where it's kind of just like, they ain't doing nothing. Like if someone's not doing nothing with themselves, like, they just throwing flowers.
Wow, so that's so cool that y'all really have that as a
it's a saying, it's a term.
Where it's gonna say something else. It really is.
You can be like, yo, what's such and such these days? What is such and such doing? We say voyeur flair. It's like, yo, he ain't doing nothing. Yo, he's just throwing flowers. He's sitting there like, la, la, la. So it's just like, oh no.
Actually have a man throwing flowers.
They'll be like, no.
Yeah, literally.
You know, it's not literally, but it's like, you know.
Yeah, no, it's literally, it's like that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, oh, nah. It's like, yeah, nah. In my culture, it's kind of just so like, oh man, if such and such said, oh, Steve is throwing flowers, it's like, what? I'm trying to do big things in life. What do you mean I'm throwing flowers? So to actually go down someone's wedding just throwing flowers, kind of just like, oh wow, you was looking forward to throwing flowers. You know, just a little joke, just a little joke. Nah, but all in all, I understand what Roz means. Like, it is your wedding. Do what you want, you know, make it personable to you, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now it's time for our Sweet Tune segment. And for those of you who are just chiming in, probably don't know, this is the time where we give 2 songs to add to your wedding playlist, because there's a lot of things that require a song during wedding planning. So Nettie and I, we were prepared and picked our songs, but you know, we could flip it around. And since we have our husbands here,
yeah,
is there a sweet tune that you guys would like to add to the playlist?
Oh man,
sweet tune.
I'll
put you on the spot. Let me see.
I have a song, and you know, Ree, how I feel about this song. Like, I sing this song for no reason. No reason.
Let everyone know.
I walk around and I just randomly just blurt it out, and it's like, oh my God. And I always tell Reema, I'm sorry, I got a quick 5-second backstory. I always tell Reema, I'm like, if this person ever does a concert and like you bring me to this concert, or if I get to meet this person, I need to let them know what this song means. But like, I gotta go with Jill Scott. Is it the way?
Oh, that's a good one. You love
what? The way that song starts, and then it's like by the time the chorus comes, especially from our wedding video, when I saw it when we had our first dance at that to that song, by the time the chorus kicked in, you just heard the crowd sing with it, and it's just like, oh, it gave a vibe. But that's a sweet tune song that I would give.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually made me bust a note on this. Like, I forgot where I was for a second. That's another thing too. Y'all show is very calm, and it makes you feel very, you know, relaxed here. I don't even feel like I'm on TV or YouTube, or whatever y'all want to
Yeah. Ooh, this is tough. I guess I can just go the safe one, right? And I can do 2 occasions, I guess.
Oh, that's
good. What's that?
I only think of you on 2 occasions. What's that? That's day and night.
See, there's so many songs.
There's so many songs, honestly.
There's so many. Like, even Brian McKnight had some joints too. I want to put you guys on the spot before I let you guys go. Can me and Roz like host a show next season? Not really host it, but we want to ask you guys questions.
A husband takeover?
Yeah, husband takeover. We want to ask you guys questions. Yeah.
Sugar and spouse, heavy on the spouse.
Heavy on the sugar and spouse, heavy on the spouse.
Yes.
That's
the groom talk. Oh gosh. Yeah, we'll change. You guys can do that. That'll be fun.
That's cute. Yeah, that'll be cool. That's cute. Don't worry, we'll have games and everything. Trust me.
Segment.
Trust me.
We will be still here.
Yeah, we'll be here. Well, thank you guys for adding those 2 songs to our playlist. And usually at the end of our show, we give our sugar tip and our spouse tip. Okay. But this time, we're going to run down our top 5 sugar and spouse tips from season 1.
Yep. We have put together the top, like, I guess if you take anything away from these seasons, these top things that you need to like get, at least from the episodes. I'm gonna go with the first one is plan your proposal based on knowing your person. Right. So like, don't do anything that, you know, is not what they are like. You have to keep your person in mind because you guys are embarking on a journey. You're asking them to make a big step. So you want to take that care and make sure that you're using like the way that works for that person.
And also, second tip, develop a timeline that works for both of you. It's not a race to the wedding day, you know. You take your time, pace it out, and do what works for you guys. You don't have to rush it because you're trying to get married in a certain time and don't want to be engaged for a certain amount of time. You want it to be as perfect and according to plan as possible. So take your time with it.
Yes, aka ditch the life plan, right? Just do what works for you guys. All right. And here's a big one. You must have the day of your wedding day, those day of duties. You got to make sure that you assign and task those out to people who are not getting married. If you are the person getting married, your focus for the day of should be getting ready, period. You shouldn't be making flowers. You shouldn't be like picking up chairs, anything like that. All those tasks of all the things that have to happen, you have to assign out. And you can decide to either get a professional wedding planner or you can assign these tasks to your groomsmen, your bridal party, family, friends, certain guests, but you have to make sure that these day of tasks are assigned out.
Definitely. And also discuss priorities. Use I statements during the planning time and get your feelings out there, you know, express what you want as a groom as a part of the wedding because it's both of you guys' day. It's not just about the bride, it's about the two of you getting together. So definitely put out your wants, put out your needs, and have that open communication with each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got another one. You want to check out the details about your venue and your vendors. Don't be afraid to negotiate with them. And you never know, like you can negotiate something that you would have never thought. So don't ever be afraid of that and go through your details, go through your contracts when you are deciding your venue.
Yep, that was so sweet. So now to jump into our spouse tips.
Yes.
Starting off with once wedding planning is up and running, do not forget each other. You can definitely be in the thick of wedding planning and just don't date anymore. It's like don't go out, don't do anything with each other. You definitely don't want to do that because you're throwing a wrench into your marriage before it even starts.
AKA take that break.
Yeah, you guys did it right with the Jamaica break. That was fire.
Take a break.
Plan a date night.
Yeah.
Doesn't involve wedding planning.
Another spousal tip, even if your spouse is uninterested in picking your wedding planner, have them meet with your top pros. Like you could take the lead and pick your top 3 people, but do not make your final decision without your spouse. Don't do that. It's because it's both of your days, and no matter how uninterested one person might seem, it's gonna like blow up if you guys are not both aware or making final decisions together.
Yeah, and do it together. You know, it's not just on one person. This is something that you guys are doing as a unit. This is probably the first of many group projects that you're doing. Because this is exactly what it is. It's a massive group project. So go visit those venues together, taste those cakes together. You did taste cake.
I taste no cakes.
He tastes cake. So make a day of it and just have fun.
Yes. And then I want to say for love languages, like try our Sugar and Spouse Love Language Challenge, which is you and your spouse or future spouse, you guys take the love language quiz and then make a commitment to cater to each person's love language for 1 week. And just let us know how that worked for you guys and how much it improves your intimacy or just anything. Or was it a big fail? Just let us know. But that's a good tip that you guys could try. And I think, you know, it's really something to take away from the whole season.
Right. And lastly, for a spouse tip, it's important to consciously decide on if you guys are going to live together before the I do's. It's a good idea.
Which you should.
You know, you get to learn things about each other that you probably wouldn't see, that, you know, you wouldn't see if you guys didn't live together. Because when you visit, you're going to present your best self and you're going to be the best at all times. But when you're living with that person and seeing them from Sunday to Saturday, things might change up than just visiting them every other week or on the weekends.
So true. And also just have this conversation, because maybe you guys may decide that living together prior is not what you want to do, right? But either way, this should be discussed before that, the news, before the I do.
Absolutely.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, that's it. Thank you, guys.
It's a wrap. Season 1 is done.
Season
1. Congratulations.
To everyone listening, everyone watching, we will be in your feed.
Yes. Our Instagram will be buzzing.
No, Instagram will be buzzing, but when we come back with season 2, you guys are going to be so excited.
Oh, yeah. We got some new stuff in the works. We got some visuals out there for you guys to love us on. Can't wait. So definitely watch our IG and be ready for season 2 to release.
Yes. And until further ado, guys.
Bye. They're about to play that good song.
When I feel what I feel, sometimes it's hard to tell.